In 1888, a Russian mystic described a civilization that used wireless energy transmission, flew in anti-gravity vehicles, and communicated through ethereal vibrations across vast distances. She called them the Atlanteans. Here's what's insane. Helena Blavatsky described technologies that wouldn't be invented for another century: Wi-Fi, wireless power, and biotechnology, claiming they existed in Atlantis 12,000 years ago. And now modern inventors are discovering her fictional technologies actually work. Today, you'll learn why Nikola Tesla studied her books, why modern scientists are taking her seriously, and why Silicon Valley engineers are quietly recreating Atlantean technology from her 130-year-old descriptions. Who was Blavatsky? Helena Petrovna Blavatsky wasn't your typical Victorian lady. Born in 1831 to Russian aristocracy, she spent decades traveling through Tibet, India, and Egypt, studying with mystics and accessing texts most Europeans had never seen. In 1888, she published The Secret Doctrine, a 1,500-page work that she claimed contained the true history of humanity, including detailed descriptions of Atlantean civilization and their technology. Now here's what makes this significant. Blavatsky had no scientific training. She was writing before the discovery of radio waves, before electricity was common, before powered flight. Yet her descriptions of Atlantean technology read like modern engineering manuals. Thomas Edison read her work. Nikola Tesla kept her books in his laboratory. Gandhi called her writings influential. Even Einstein's library contained her books. Why were these scientific minds interested in an occultist's writings about a mythical civilization? Because buried in her esoteric language were technological concepts that seemed impossible in 1888, but are reality today. The Vril force. Blavatsky described the Atlanteans' primary power source as Vril, a universal energy that permeated all space. Here's her exact quote from The Secret Doctrine. "It is this vibratory force which, when aimed at an army from an Agnirath fixed on a flying vessel, a balloon, according to the instructions found in Ashtar Vidya, reduced to ashes 100,000 men and elephants. It is this force which the Atlanteans used, and which destroyed them in the end." Now, in 1888, this sounded like pure fantasy, but listen to how she described Vril's properties. It exists in all space. It can be conducted through certain materials. It vibrates at specific frequencies. It can transmit power without wires. It can be destructive or beneficial depending on application. Compare this to Nikola Tesla's description of cosmic energy from 1901. There is energy all around us. It is a mere question of time when men will succeed in attaching their machinery to the wheelwork of nature. Tesla was attempting to build exactly what Blavatsky described: wireless power transmission using the Earth's natural electromagnetic field. His Wardenclyffe Tower project was essentially trying to harness Vril. Wireless communication. Blavatsky wrote something in 1888 that should have been impossible for her to imagine. The Atlanteans could communicate instantly across their entire continent through ethereal vibrations. Their priests possessed circular plates of certain metallic compositions, which, when properly attuned, could transmit thoughts and images across vast distances. She's describing smartphones, circular metallic plates, antennas, that transmit thoughts and images, texts and photos, through ethereal vibrations, electromagnetic waves. But here's the kicker. She said the receiving instrument had to be attuned to the same rate of vibration as the transmitting one. She's describing frequency matching, how your phone connects to Wi-Fi. This was written 8 years before Marconi's first radio experiments, 120 years before the iPhone. Atlantean aircraft. Blavatsky's descriptions of Atlantean flying vehicles, which she called vimanas, borrowing from Sanskrit texts, are particularly fascinating. The air vehicles of the Atlanteans were made of light wood or metal, covered with a special varnish that made them impervious to heat and water. They were propelled by the Vril force, which, when directed downward, caused the vessel to rise by reaction. She's describing lightweight composite materials, heat-resistant coatings like space shuttle tiles, reaction-based propulsion. But here's the kicker. She said these vehicles were silent and could hover. In 1888, the only flying machines were hot air balloons. The Wright brothers wouldn't fly for another 15 years, yet she wrote, "The vessels could remain stationary at any elevation, move in any direction at will, and attain speeds that would seem impossible to those who think in terms of mechanical propulsion." She's describing anti-gravity, or electromagnetic propulsion. And here's what's crazy. In 2016, NASA's EagleWorks laboratory confirmed the impossible EM drive, a propulsion system using electromagnetic waves that seems to violate Newton's laws, just like Blavatsky's Vimanas. Crystal technology. Blavatsky claimed Atlanteans used crystals not as mystical objects but as technological tools. The Atlanteans had discovered that certain crystalline structures could store and amplify the Vril force. Their greatest engineers could imprint these crystals with specific vibratory patterns that would persist for millennia. In 1888, this was fantasy. Today, we use silicon crystals in every computer. We store data on crystalline structures. Quartz crystals regulate time in watches through precise vibrations. But here's what's really interesting. She described pyramid-shaped crystal structures being most effective for collecting and focusing cosmic energies. In 2018, scientists discovered that pyramid-shaped nanostructures are incredibly efficient at focusing electromagnetic energy. A study from ITMO University found the Great Pyramid's shape creates pockets of concentrated electromagnetic energy, exactly what Blavatsky suggested Atlantean pyramids were designed to do. She wrote, "The crystal chambers within their pyramids could illuminate entire cities without any visible source of power." We now know pyramid shapes can create electromagnetic anomalies. We use crystalline photovoltaic cells to convert light to electricity. Was she describing advanced solar technology? Biotechnology and genetic manipulation. Here's where Blavatsky's descriptions become almost prophetic. She wrote about Atlantean biotechnology in terms that sound impossibly modern. The Atlanteans had mastered the science of modifying living forms. They could accelerate the growth of plants, making them bear fruit in days rather than seasons. They created new species by combining the essence of different life forms. Remember, this is 1888. Mendel's work on genetics was barely known. DNA wouldn't be discovered for another 80 years. Yet she's describing accelerated plant growth, modern growth hormones, genetic modification, GMOS, hybrid species creation, genetic engineering, but it gets more specific. She wrote, "Their priests understood the vibratory signature of each living thing and could alter these patterns to create desired changes." Today, we know DNA is literally a vibrational frequency. Scientists use specific sound frequencies to alter genetic expression. The field is called cymatics and sonogenetics. In 2019, MIT researchers used sound waves to activate genetically modified cells. They're calling it sonogenetics, using ultrasound to control cellular behavior. Blavatsky described this exact concept 130 years ago. The Akashic interface. Perhaps most fascinating is what Blavatsky called the Akashic records, a kind of cosmic internet the Atlanteans could access. The initiated could, through certain practices, connect their consciousness to the Akashic light, wherein is recorded every thought, word, and deed that has ever occurred. This ethereal library could be accessed through crystalline interfaces when the mind was properly attuned. She's describing a universal information field, quantum field theory, crystalline interfaces, computer screens, mental attunement for access, biometric security, stored records of all events, the internet/cloud storage. What's remarkable is modern physics suggests information might indeed be preserved at the quantum level. The holographic principle in physics proposes that all information in a volume of space is encoded on its boundary, eerily similar to Blavatsky's Akashic records. Tech companies are now developing brain-computer interfaces. Elon Musk's Neuralink aims to connect human consciousness directly to computers. Are we rebuilding the Atlantean Akashic interface? Thought form projection. Here's one of the wildest Atlantean technologies Blavatsky described: the ability to create physical objects through concentrated thought. The highest Atlantean adepts could concentrate their mental force to such a degree that thought forms became visible and even tangible. They would visualize complex geometric patterns in their minds, and through the application of Vril force, these patterns would materialize in physical space. She called these Kriya Shakti, the power to materialize thought into physical reality. In 1888, this was pure fantasy. But look at what's happening now. In 2019, researchers at MIT created a system that can read brain signals and 3D print objects that people are thinking about. The system, called Alter Ego, reads neuromuscular signals and translates thoughts into digital commands. But it goes deeper, she wrote. These thought forms could be programmed with specific instructions and would carry out complex tasks independently of their creator. Today, we're creating holographic projections that look solid, 3D printing from digital designs, programmable matter that changes shape, augmented reality that overlays digital onto physical. Microsoft's HoloLens projects holograms you can interact with. Scientists at Sussex University created acoustic holograms, 3D shapes made of sound waves you can feel. MIT's Inform project creates physical shapes that emerge from flat surfaces based on digital input. Are we rediscovering the Atlantean art of thought form projection through technology? Healing temples and frequency medicine. Blavatsky described Atlantean healing temples that used color, sound, and frequency. In their healing temples, the sick were exposed to specific combinations of colored lights and harmonic frequencies. Each disease had its own vibratory rate, and by applying the opposite frequency, the Atlantean physicians could restore balance to the body. In 1888, this sounded like magic. Today, phototherapy uses specific light wavelengths to treat conditions. Ultrasound therapy uses frequencies for healing. PEMF, pulsed electromagnetic field, therapy is FDA approved. Bioresonance therapy measures and corrects cellular frequencies. She even described chambers where the patient would be surrounded by geometric forms that created specific energy patterns for healing. Today's MRI machines place patients in geometric electromagnetic fields for diagnosis. Coincidence? Conclusion. Helena Blavatsky either had the most incredible imagination in history, or she had access to information we're only now rediscovering. Her descriptions of Atlantean technology, written in 1888, accurately predicted wireless communication, wireless power transmission, biotechnology and genetic engineering, crystal data storage, thought form projection technology, brain-computer interfaces, anti-gravity craft, frequency healing. She also warned that this technology destroyed Atlantis through misuse. As we develop these same technologies, her warning becomes relevant. The Atlanteans fell because they used sacred science for selfish purposes. Whether you believe in Atlantis or not, the fact remains. A Victorian mystic described technologies that top scientists said were impossible until we invented them. Maybe it's time we took her warnings as seriously as her predictions. What do you think? Are we rediscovering lost technology, or was Blavatsky just impossibly ahead of her time? Let me know in the comments. And if you want to dive deeper into suppressed ancient technology, check out my video on Tesla's hidden papers, the inventions they don't want you to know about. Remember, the future might just be hidden in the past.